Okay, Betsy has advanced this to closing thoughts. Do you do closing thoughts with your students, whether you're an individual transaction with them, you're advising them, or in class? I think it's really important. Students, like many of us, they need closure. Okay, so I've been thinking about us being on this stage this morning. Terry tried to describe this for Betsy and I, and he did as good a job as could have been done without us actually seeing this. And Betsy and I, when we came in here this morning, thought, wow, this is really great. And I've been thinking about the stage as a metaphor for what's going to follow the rest of this year and especially next year. There's going to be a play here. And all of you are the dramatis personae. You're the actors. You're the performers. And you're going to be joined by another whole cast of characters who are just now in high schools and elsewhere beginning to decide whether or not they want to join you. And what's going to happen on this stage? Is it going to be a musical? It's going to be a drama. Hope it's not going to be a tragedy. But it's all up to you. Now, as I look at this, and I think back on when I entered the campus, I am the most objective about an institution that I haven't visited before I actually arrive. And the longer I'm on the campus, the more my objectivity kind of drops off, and I begin forming my own impressions. But it sure made a beautiful impression on me as I came in, and I started thinking about, well, what's this place got going for it to launch this experiment? For one thing, you have what a lot of institutions wish they had, but don't have. And I know this may sound surprising to you, but you have a very high level of engagement from the most senior leadership of the institution. You have the faculty senate that's spending a lot of time on this. You've had a high-powered general education group that I understand people actually were volunteering and beating on the door to get on. Is that right, Ann? Huh? That's pretty amazing. You know, at many institutions, people want to avoid this like the plague, unless it's for self-defense purposes, and they want to, make sure their own nest gets feathered. But that's really something. And you have, of course, the support of the president and the provost and the chief student affairs officer, the chief enrollment management officer. I mean, you got the heavenly host involved in this, and that's something we don't always see. Another thing are the basic dynamics of this area. You're in the fastest growing county in the state of Illinois, correct? And you're in a county that already has high expectations that what this university is going to do, it's going to support its economic aspirations. You have a beautiful campus. You have faculty who are, because they've been teaching upper division students, I can safely predict, are going to have higher expectations of entering students than is the case at many other institutions. And there's going to be some necessity of adjustment there, but still that's where they're going to start. But there's going to be a couple of big differences in this first year from the way you've normally been functioning. One is, and I can only speak about this in general terms, you have a set of policies that were not designed for these students, all right? And you're going to have to really carefully look at those policies. Secondly, executing a successful first year is a lot different than executing a successful upper division, because in the upper division, the faculty are able to and do function much more independently of the rest of the university. They do not need as much assistance and support and interaction from the professional staff and our student affairs colleagues and our enrollment management colleagues. I don't think some of you faculty know yet how dependent you're going to be on your staff colleagues to execute this first year. And because you've been an upper division institution, I suspect, but I don't know, you may not have developed already the tradition of a sufficiently integrated partnership between academic and student affairs colleagues, okay? But I promise you, one of the most important variables that's going to determine the success of your first year is how well all of us act together on this stage, okay? We're all co-equal performers. There are no stars in this, okay? There are no headliners. When we work with colleges and universities in our planning process, one of the things we ask them to think about, and just a simple matrix you could do, would be to list your academic majors and then enumerate the student organizations, clubs, and activities that you have on the campus. And I didn't see any literature on that. I just didn't get it, so I don't know what it is. But it'll be interesting to know which of your majors don't have some of these organizations already in place. And you're going to need them for first-year students because you're going to have to get connected with those students 2 years earlier than you did with the upper division students. Another thing we look at is where are your students going to concentrate and populate in the greatest numbers, what we call the high enrollment courses. Now, this is all relevant, but I'm fond of using the great American bank robber, Willie Sutton, who was asked once, why did he rob banks? And what was the answer? That's where the money is, okay? Well, the money and everything else that you want to have flow is going to be directly connected to where you have the most students. And Betsy and I argue that wherever those pockets are in the curriculum, as well as outside the curriculum, and she said earlier, and I want to repeat this, we believe that learning takes place anywhere you have students interacting with each other and interacting with all of us in this room, okay? And that all of us, regardless of whether we're faculty and what class of faculty we are and rank and what we are as staff, that all of us are educators. And so the challenge here is to identify where are the students most likely to congregate in the curriculum and co-curriculum. And wherever those places are, they better be your signature experiences. You better have those right. Now, one of the things we've learned about you is that in your curriculum, you do not have enough of your full-time faculty to cover all those courses that you're going to offer. So to achieve your aspirations, you're going to have to be really thoughtful and intentional about how you integrate your instructional faculty or staff, whatever you call them, in ways that you didn't have to do when you were just an upper division institution, okay? So that really matters, and this will be an opportunity for you as a university to think through how you deal with those subpopulations of your instructional faculty. Okay, so you are unique. You have a unique culture, and you have a history of that culture, but that it's going to go through some changes. We think that in this exercise today, that perhaps the questions are more important than the answers. And you have now about 11 months to get the answers. But let's today make sure that we're asking the right questions. We've got a few of them on the screen here, and I'd like us just to kind of highlight these questions. One I'd like you to get to think about is what kind of first year here might draw the students you most want to have? And will you, within that cohort, be offering opportunities for honors work? If you don't offer experiences for your most academically prepared and predisposed to success students, you will lose them. Okay? They have other options, but they are, of course, not going to be all your students. So also, what kind of first year might draw the students who most need what you're going to offer them? And will those two groups be the same, the ones you most want to have and the ones who most need you? Most importantly, I think you got a choice of 3 different types of students to focus on. The first is the students you would rather have, the students who you think you used to be like, or the students you think students in general used to be like, as opposed to the fourth choice, which will be the students you'll actually have. If you really focus on that last group, you're much more likely to be successful. I would trust that you're going to be asking what kind of first year here might best serve not only the students, but the region. And what kind of first year is most in sync with your strategic plan, because your strategic plan drives resources, and therefore it needs to be integrated. Betsy and I think that the most important question to be asking is if you were to have an excellent beginning, an excellent first year, what would that be? We've given you 9 standards of excellence, but what are your standards going to be? Could you take ours and adapt them and have your own aspirational standards? What's the big vision for all of this? And then you got to bring that back home, right down to where the rubber meets the road. And that's where we're going to go with this conversation after lunch. So more specifically, what's going to be, what do you want to be, what must be the contributing role of your unit of the university to this new first year? And how is that contribution and role of your unit going to affect your unit? How are you going to need to adapt and change? And what do you need to do that? Do you need more people, different people, faculty, staff development, resources? Do you need to go visit some places and look and see how this is done elsewhere? What do you need? And of course, ultimately, most importantly, what's going to be your role? What can you contribute? What can you get out of this? How could this be meaningful and enjoyable for you, satisfying? Personally, folks, unlike many of you, I could never get another job. So I spent 32 and a half years at one university. South Carolina is relatively a very small state. There are about 4 million people. I looked at all of them as if they were my students. And I tell you, I taught everything from first-year students to graduate students. But I know it was really the first-year students that ultimately I had the greatest impact. And I run into them all over the place. South Carolina is like one great big family reunion. Too much intermarriage and all that results from that. But anyway, I know how affirming these students are going to be of what you're going to give them, because that's certainly the feedback my students give me. So what is it that you're going to do with them? And then this means, folks, on this stage, you've got the opportunity for a marriage of mutual self-interests that must come into play. And we must think about these partnerships because all of us are critical actors.